You're listening to A Tiny Homestead, the podcast comprised entirely of conversations with homesteaders, cottage food producers, and crafters, and topics adjacent. I'm your host, Mary Lewis. A Tiny Homestead podcast is sponsored by Homegrown Collective, a free-to-use farm-to-table platform, emphasizing local connections with ability to sell online, buy, sell, trade in local garden groups, and help us grow a new food system. You can find them at homegrowncollective.org. Today I'm talking with Becca at Moon Ridge Acres in Alberta, Canada?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Good afternoon, Becca. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. It's a gray, drizzly kind of day here in Minnesota. What's it doing in Alberta?
It is actually sunshiny and beautiful after a mega thunderstorm last night. It's actually quite lovely. The birds are chirping. Everyone is seemingly good. The calm after the storm, I guess.
Yeah, the weather has been absolutely insane everywhere. This past weekend was Memorial Day weekend here in the States. And in Minnesota, where I am, Friday and Saturday and Sunday were absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous days.
Right.
That doesn't usually happen. Usually one day of Memorial Day weekend is a washout, and it didn't happen.
That's impressive. Our May long was like last weekend, and it was absolutely frozen. It was so cold. It was terrible. We couldn't do anything.
Oh, God love Mother Nature.
We didn't get snow though, which is, it is normal for us to get snow on May long. We say we don't plant our gardens until after May long, and we didn't get snow, but it was like in the single digits.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt very cold. But today it is, it's got to be close to 20 degrees already.
Which is what in Fahrenheit, because I'm really bad at this.
I'm really bad at it too. I would say that's like 45, 50, I think.
Oh, warmish. It's warmish there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. No, yeah. I could be wrong on the conversion. I'm sure someone will correct me.
I can always look it up and put it in the show notes and be like, here's the chart that says
here's what it actually is.
Uh-huh.
When I went to the US, my car had this like really handy feature that it just converted it like automatically for me, which was so handy. And it's funny how quickly I was able to, go from Celsius into the Imperial system and then back, and it just felt totally normal with that, system in my car. But like if you ask me to convert it like right now, there's no way.
Yeah, and one of my best friends is from Canada, and I've known her for over 20 years. You would think that I would have made a point of learning this, but I still haven't. It's terrible.
Well, and my parents are old enough that they still use the Imperial system for like 90% of things. Like the metric system was kind of imposed upon them like after they were out of school. Yep. So they're still very much on the Imperial system. They're always talking in Fahrenheit, and I'm like, what? And you'd think I would pick up on it, but no, I got Celsius on the brain. But I use inches though, which is a very Canadian thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like whatever you're first introduced to, like I am not a Macintosh computer kind of girl. I really do like Windows.
Right.
And I tried using a Macintosh Apple as they were known when I was in school, and that was a very long time ago. I'm 55, you can do the math. And I can do it, but it's like retraining my brain to find where files are if I use that. So yeah, it's what you're introduced to as a brand new thing, what you tend to gravitate towards. So
absolutely.
Okay, so got the weather covered, got the small talk covered. You have been going through some fits and issues with Facebook lately. Did you want to vent for a couple minutes about that?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. So as a Canadian, when it comes to content creation across social media, we are very limited in what we can access for monetization. We don't get paid for TikTok. And then we have Facebook and YouTube, I believe Instagram also monetizes, but I don't think Instagram pays very well. I think Instagram is very much targeted for like attracting brands to do brand deals. And for me, as a millennial where Facebook was like the OG platform, I actually like we were just saying, I love creating on Facebook. I love that there's multiple different like ways, like I can do text, I can do photo, I can do groups. I love Facebook. So that is where I've put a ton of my effort. I'm also on TikTok, and TikTok is fantastic for like discoverability. The algorithm is absolutely great for getting you in front of new people. But again, I can't monetize my TikTok, and TikTok is also really great for like filming face to camera videos. It's just very user friendly, and I'm old enough that I struggle with technology, but like young enough to have a general grasp.
Mm-hmm.
And so I often repost my TikToks over to Facebook, and I bring all of my content over to Facebook. But Facebook is where I've put my heart and soul because I genuinely really like the platform. And YouTube is a whole other beast of, you know, needing to be prepared and having to really just like pre-plan your content and doing this long form stuff, and like the editing and the amount of work that goes into a YouTube video is like at least 5 times more than what goes into a TikTok.
Absolutely,
So
yes. Yes, it is.
it's a lot. So as a one person show who has 2 kids, who has like also running the farm on the side of things, I've really put my heart and soul into Facebook, and I got monetized on Facebook last year. I think it was around March where I made my first like $5.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's working. And of course, you can't get paid out until you reach a certain threshold, which I think is $100. And I finally had a viral video on Facebook in June of last year, and I got like $125, and I thought I was a rock star. And that's 125 USD. So in Canada, I really was a rock star. That was like $200.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, things were good. And after that point, I started seeing fairly consistent income. Again, it was not like life-changing money by any means, but it was, you know, okay, like now I can buy, you know, that covers my feed store trip, or that covers whatever. And the job that I had been working at previously, I was school bus driving, and as someone with ADHD, the like school bus driving, it was waking up in the morning, I think, that was really the hardest part. I am a night owl. I stay up till 2 in the morning, whether I want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
And waking up at 5 in the morning every day, getting 2 kids into the bus, and like they were coming with me, and it made me kind of like hate my life. I was miserable. I was tired all the time. I wasn't enjoying the horses anymore. And it was around this time when I like started considering purchasing George. And I was like, what if, you know, I could get this really amazing little horse, and, you know, also potentially boost my social media enough that I don't have to continue bus driving. Like that's all I wanted. I just wanted to replace that income.
Yep.
And sure enough, I ended up saying, let's do it. Let's invest in this little horse that could, you know, be a great asset to my breeding program, but also be an investment in my social media business. And it worked. It was exactly as I hoped it would be. I started really seeing that replacement income in around September, October. Like, again, it wasn't a full replacement, but it was enough to say, like, okay, this is possible.
Sure.
And like clockwork, those every month that those funds would come into my account as they were supposed to, and never had a hitch. So December rolled around, same thing. Everything was going great. At this point, George had almost paid for himself. and I was gearing up to like go pick him up in Tennessee from Katie Van Slyke. And so January, so the way Facebook works, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but you get paid for the month prior on the 21st of the month. So on January 21st, I would be getting paid for December.
Right. Yep.
And December was my first very good payment, like over 4 figures. This is,
Ooh.
yeah, right. Like it was good money. And I was like super excited. And I was met with an error from Facebook. It said the payment didn't go through. You need to update your payment method, which is odd because I hadn't changed my payout method. Everything had remained the same. So I contacted support and they were like, oh, I'll just update it. Like maybe it's a glitch and, like it just needs you to like re-enter it. Okay, cool. So I do that. And then they're like, well, now you have to wait until February because we only process payments once a month.
Oh, man.
Which at this time, so I'm gearing up to go get George. I have this big trip to Tennessee. In my head, I'm like, all right, well, that's a great way for me to not spend that money, right? Like, sure, it's in the bank and I'll save it for the trip. That's no problem. And so February rolls around, same problem.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. So at this point, I subscribe to Meta Verified, which is the little blue check mark, which is like a stupid amount of money every month. And the reason I did this was because they say enhanced support, like you get to actually talk to a person instead of a robot.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I did that, filed the new support team, and they looked into it and they were like, oh, yeah, like it looks like there was like some kind of error. So just re-enter your information again. And it looks like that problem is fixed,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds a lot like the first story, right?
Yep.
But again, I'm like, okay, well, this is a real person this time because I was not sure the first time. And so I did as they instructed. And then again, well, now you're going to have to wait until
March.
March. And so that was very frustrating considering I was leaving to get George in March and I would be in Tennessee when that payment was supposed to come into my account.
Yeah.
And so that was stressful in itself, being like, am I going to get this money like while I'm down there? Like, because I had hoped to do some shopping in the US and, have like a really fun trip.
Yeah.
And so I just made sure that if it didn't come through that I was going to be okay to get home and whatever. But I said, let's go. If I end up not being able to shop down there, I guess that's the worst case scenario, right? And so sure enough, March 21st, same error. And at this point, I'm like, well, that's disappointing. Like, I just did all of these miles. Like, I had so many things I wanted to buy in the US because you guys just have so much more accessibility to so many
Everything.
things.
Yep.
Like, I went into Tractor Supply and I probably could have filled my horse trailer with just stuff that we don't even have available here.
Yep.
And so I again contacted support and this time they were like, "Oh, this has been happening. We're going to pass you on to a specialized team and we're going to get this sorted out." Okay, great. So I go, like, I'm continuing on my trip to go get George. I just carry on. And I think it was a week and a half before they finally reached back out to me because, mind you, they have you on this chat. They say they've passed you to a specialized unit and then they mute your conversation. So you can't even like say, hey, like just wanting to follow up, like just, there's none of that. No, it's muted. It's like, this is an automated message. We'll get back to you when we're ready. And it's like, cool. It's like, hurry up and wait. So I carry on the trip and I can't even remember when they finally got back to me. I think I was already back in Canada, and they said, okay, we're not sure why this isn't working with your PayPal. So do you have a bank account you can use? Try that. Oh, okay, sure. So I open up a USD bank account because we can only receive payments in US dollar. I open that up with my bank and I put all the information in and set it all up. And sure enough, wait till April 21st. Okay. So,
Becca,
sorry.
this is getting real long.
Oh,
So you still haven't been paid yet? Yes or no?
no,
No.
no.
Okay. I did some research yesterday after I saw the other post you shared from the other creator that hasn't been paid.
Really?
And I looked up why is Facebook not paying creators. And
Mm-hmm.
if you look it up, there's a party line on a couple different results that say that Facebook is looking into changing how they're doing this.
Right.
Why I wanted you to share is because this is why it's never a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket, to be a
100%.
homestead quote here. And you're not doing that. Proud of you for realizing that you can't necessarily always count the chickens before they hatch.
Right.
But what a freaking mess. I'm sorry you're going through it.
Yeah.
And I just got to the point where I can receive stars on my Facebook page.
Right.
And I looked it up and you have to actually, as someone who wants to give stars to a creator,
Yeah.
you have to buy the stars.
Oh,
I'm like,
yes.
great, fantastic. So if you are a Facebook creator who just got the ability to receive stars and haven't received any, that's probably why, because people are probably pretty stingy with who they give stars to.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Another thing, I just wanted to throw it out there. When you mentioned that they were switching how they were doing things, they switched from the performance bonus program to content monetization. And if I remember correctly, I joined the content monetization program last December. So I am almost certain that this is a content monetization problem, specifically with amounts over 4 figures.
Oh, probably.
So I think there's something there, and unfortunately, it's just a waiting game until they figure out what the heck's going on. I do think I'll get it. I'm not worried about that. I'm just like, how, like right now I'm prepping for horse shows, and I'm like, well, that was kind of the money that I was going to use for my entry fees and all of that stuff. So now I'm having to pivot and do a whole bunch of other things to try and generate enough money to continue on doing what I wanted to do with my money that I should have.
Yes, exactly. So 17 minutes in, I'm going to back us both up a little bit.
So sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I gave you the floor and you took it, and people should know. People
You
should
said
know.
you wanted to vent, and I'm like, I will tell you the whole story.
Yeah. People should know that being a content creator is not all candy and hearts and roses. It's work, and you should be paid for your work. So I'm going to back us up to the beginning. You and I spoke back in January of this year, first time we'd ever spoken. So this is a catch-up episode. And Becca's had a lot going on. She mentioned Katie Van Slyke back in the first episode because I'm a fan of Katie and so is Becca. And Becca basically told me that Katie Van Slyke was her inspiration for getting into raising mini horses. So that's what Becca does. Becca raises mini horses, and now we're caught up. So you went in March to buy George a baby mini horse from Katie Van Slyke.
Yes.
And it was an adventure from what I saw on Facebook. So go ahead and take another 10 minutes and tell me about that trip.
All right, well, I'll try and be a little bit more concise with it. It was a fantastic trip. We left Alberta, and I was traveling alone with my 2 kids, pulling the horse trailer, and I traveled all the way down to Oklahoma with another miniature stallion that a friend had sold to someone in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So that helped cover most of the cost of the trip down, which was really, really nice. But traveling with kids, we ended up not being able to do quite as many miles as I had anticipated. So we did have like a little bit more, like I think there was an extra stop from what I had originally planned, with just because instead of driving 12 hours, we were driving 9, right?
Yep.
And so we got into Montana. Montana is absolutely beautiful. We didn't have any crazy weather. And then as we're leaving Montana to get to, our goal was to get down to Colorado that second day, but we got stopped in Sheridan, Wyoming. There was a freak blizzard, and the roads were closed because apparently in the US you guys close roads.
We sure do.
And we find it so funny because like I understand that the wind is a large factor in a lot of these spaces, but like here I don't think I've ever seen a road closed unless there was a major accident. And like we drive in like absolutely crazy weather all the time, but that's just normal to us. So that was an interesting thing, but I'm glad that it happened where it did because Sheridan actually ended up being probably one of my favorite stops. I just really enjoyed that little town. It was like very cowpoke country. Like it feels like you could ride your horse down the street in the middle of the day in the summer and it would be totally normal.
Yep.
I loved it. So after that, we went down to Colorado. There was some major like wind issues, but we never actually hit any of the wind issues. We darted across Kansas and down to is it Oklahoma that's right below Kansas? I think so, right?
I think so. It's been a long time since I've studied
You're
geography,
supposed to know.
but I think so, yeah.
Okay, so from Kansas down to Oklahoma, we dropped Titan off, and then we took a little side quest to Texas, which is where my friend Nicole Pearsall lives.
Mhm.
So if you don't know Nicole, she is DVM miniatures. She's got some freaky horses. Like they are so unbelievably gorgeous. I know last year I think her horses were like winning the grand champions at both the AMHR Nationals and the AMHA Worlds. Like she had quite a lot of grand champion wins, and she's got this like elite breeding farm down in Texas and miniature horses. I was like, of course I need to go see her. And she does like TikTok and Facebook as well.
Mhm.
So we stopped there. I got to like learn all about her breeding program and just like finally meet her because we've been friends on social media for a while. And honestly, that was incredible. I got to snuggle all the cute little babies and just spend a couple days there with them. And then we had to rush to get to Tennessee because there was like 800 million tornado warnings.
Yes, I remember reading about that, yes.
There was so many tornadoes, and like somehow I made it through all of them. And we got to Tennessee. We picked up George. I didn't spend a whole lot of time at Katie's. She strikes me as a very, very busy woman. Um, I feel like she's got a lot going on, even with the help that she does have.
A lot going on all the time.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
she is busy, and I could just feel that vibe when I was like, I think I'm busy.
Yeah.
And so we picked up George, and George was very nervous. That was his first time on the trailer. So we could have made it a little bit further that night, but I decided, you know what, we're just going to find a hotel in the area and let George be in the trailer and have a minute because he was just vibrating in his boots. He had no idea what was happening.
And he was how old was he?
So he was born in July of last year. So in March, he would have been, what is that, 8 months?
Yeah, about.
Yeah, so still a baby, but like he grew up there and he'd never been off the farm.
Yeah.
So hopping into a trailer with people you don't know, like that's a lot. And so we just parked it and, tried to get to know him for the night
Mhm.
and whatever. So after that, we carried on driving north. I headed straight north because I had a mare in Niagara Falls that I have wanted for 3 years. I am absolutely in love with this mare. She is the mother to um my other stallion Max,
Sure.
and she's stunning, she's gorgeous, and I've wanted her forever. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go up through Canada because at this time we were also concerned about the tariffs. So
Yes, yes, I remember you. Can't talk. Messaged you and said, "Are you buying George from Katie Van Slyke?" And you said yes. And you had said something to me, I think, about wanting to get him before the tariff situation went into effect.
right, because at that time I think they were set to go in on April 2nd and no one knew what it was going to mean for like livestock,
Yep.
right? Like it was very up in the air. No one had any idea. Whatever. So I was like, you know what, let's just dart across the border, get back into Canada. I don't want to pay tariffs on him.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I did. So I got into Canada and then we were met with some serious weather because Canada.
Yes.
And I think we were parked for a full week, basically just kind of hanging out in Ontario and doing our thing in the hotel. It was honestly so relaxing. I high key enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. It was nice. Breakfast made, out for dinner. Like I spent all of my money in Canada.
You had a mini vacation.
I did. I was, in the States, I was being so frugal because I was like, we need to get home. And then by the time I got to Canada, I was just like, whatever, let's go out to eat. Let's just enjoy this. And we stayed there for quite some time. We had an ice storm that had like half an inch of ice on the side of my car. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And then after we got through Ontario, which is where all the nasty weather happened, then it was pretty smooth sailing and we got home and George took no time at all to settle in. He's just out here living his best life. Like he was here his whole life. Like he's my best buddy. He's an absolute pocket pony. He just wants to be my best friend and I love that. That's exactly what I was hoping he would be.
And I love that for you. And that's not the snarky, I love that for you. That's the I actually love that for you. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Um, I have a question about George. His
Yes.
his registered name is RS King of the North. Is that right?
It's RS Ruler of the North.
Ruler of the North. Sorry.
Ruler of the North. Yes, because his sire is Oak Bay Salsa's Cardinal Rule, and his
Yes.
barn name is Ruler.
Yes.
And his sire is the main reason that I really wanted George. Is his sire is pretty spectacular, and we thought it was fitting to have Ruler of the North because Katie kept referring to him as, oh, you're going to go be King of the North,
Yes.
and I
Yep.
thought it was cute. I was like, because I had no idea what to call him.
Uh-huh.
And that one just kind of fit, and I love it.
Okay. So my question is, how come I know RS stands for Running Springs. So how come it's RS and not whatever your thing is?
Because he was bred by Katie.
Okay.
So, and I think with the minis, she's going with Running Springs, Ruler of the North, as opposed to RS, because in miniature horses, with naming them, we have like 36 characters, as opposed to quarter horses who only have like 20.
Oh, yeah.
So we can be a lot more outlandish with our names. And I am almost certain that I've seen names longer than the 36 characters. So I'm not even sure if the registries care.
Okay. Okay, and sorry if I screw up names and things. I follow you. I follow Katie. I just started following the one you mentioned in Texas. I just started following her
Nicole,
today.
yes.
And
Yes.
it's only because you guys are so freaking entertaining and the babies are so cute that I follow you because I don't have any interest in getting mini horses. I'm good.
Right.
But those baby horses are the sweetest freaking things I've ever seen when they're
They
first
are
born.
on another level, and Nicole and I, we might be slightly biased, but we did agree that miniature horses are cuter than big foals any day of the week. They are so stinking cute. And the like now, like I used to love big foals, but now I see them and they just don't do it quite the same for me.
To to me, the mini foals look kind of goofy, like
Yeah.
stuffed animals,
Yeah,
and
like they're
and
almost like cartoonish.
yeah, and the regular size foals look like deer to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think it's the cartoonish stuffed animal thing with the minis that gets me.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, they
just
are
they're
just so
they're
cute.
so beautiful, but they're so goofy looking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I am a huge fan of my mini babies.
Yes. And I don't want to make you sad, but I also don't want people to think this is all starlight and roses and candy.
Oh,
You also
no.
had a pretty serious loss a month or so ago.
Yeah, it was, oh, that was honestly, I've dealt with a lot of loss in my life, but that one was especially hard because so for those that don't know, our mare Angie, she was, due any day. I was right outside. I had just checked on her, and, you know, not a hair out of place, nothing looking abnormal. And I was putting eye drops in our other foal's eye because she had an eye ulcer.
Mm.
And, that takes a few minutes because we needed to do the drops separately. So we were kind of doing that, and I look over, and Andrew's having this dang thing. And I race over to her, and this thing is limp. It's not responding.
Yeah.
And my best guess is that it was a red bag delivery. And with red bags, you can be there in the room and still have it not end up good.
Yeah.
But it just kills me that I was right there.
Yeah.
And maybe I could have made a difference. Maybe I couldn't have. It's hard to say. But the icing on the cake was that foal was our only foal that we were able to get this year from our late stallion SRF Premier, who was this gorgeous, gorgeous little buckskin stallion. He was 28 inches tall, and he passed away last fall due to complications with Cushing's disease
Yep.
or equine PPID. And it just killed me because he got one pregnant, and it was that one that we lost, and that is just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking is the best way to put it. It that one messed me up. I'm so glad that my next two foals after that were completely smooth, without a hitch, not a single problem. Like, they were beautiful and textbook, and I'm grateful for that because I had some serious anxiety after Angie, because again, I'm one person doing this. I don't have a team. I do need to sleep at some point. And it just, I was right there, and that sucks. That will haunt me for a very long time, knowing that I was right there and maybe could have made a difference. But the coulda, shoulda, wouldas don't bring anything back, and unfortunately, life goes on very quickly on the farm. Okay, I'm just one person. I need to sleep at some point, but you know, trying to be there for these mares when they foal, and all of the things that go along with foaling. It's ideal if you can be there 24/7.
Mhm.
And one day I hope that I will be able to hire, full monitors and all of those things that can like better enable me to be there, like right as things start to progress. But unfortunately, the reality is, like, you can only do what you can with what you have. And when you're starting from the ground up, kind of like I am, like, I have a lot of support and I'm very blessed in that way, but I'm not someone who was given all of these alerts and systems to get started with. So it's something that we have to build up to. And it'll haunt me forever knowing that I was quite literally right there and this still happened and that we lost that beautiful baby. And it is what it is, unfortunately. Life goes on very, very quickly on the farm, and you just have to learn to cry your tears and wipe them away and get on with your day. And that's one of the hardest things about this life is
Yeah, and except that you didn't necessarily do anything wrong.
right.
You have no idea why that baby died.
Exactly. It could have been something completely genetic. We will never know.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate trying to separate yourself because it's so easy to blame yourself and so easy to think of the woulda, coulda, shouldas. But unfortunately, all you can do is learn and hope to hell next time, you look over a minute sooner. It's
Yeah.
just sad.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, I saw the video you posted about that and you were crying and I was crying with you.
Oh.
And I am like a really soft heart. I've said this on the podcast a bunch of times. When
Mhm.
our first barn cat got hit by a car and died, I cried for hours.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do about that, obviously. And so for the people that have these beautiful, expensive animals that they
Mhm.
love and they have sunk money into and vet costs into and hoping to have them show someday. I
Yeah.
can't imagine how hard that is. I mean, I'm such a dork that I sobbed for 6 hours over the first barn cat we lost. So I
Right.
would have been destroyed for a week if I'd
Yeah.
lost a foal, you know?
Yeah.
So
And I think I don't want to say you get used to it, but like you get better at processing things. And because our first loss, it was the same thing. Like I was devastated for days and days and days. um and like that, I think that was like with a rabbit,
mhm,
like, and rabbits are notorious for being terrible mothers. So, and then to move it up to, that was my first foal that we've ever lost. And unfortunately, it's just part of it. And you do get better at dealing with the pain. It doesn't get easier when it's happening. You're still devastated. It's just you process it better and faster, I guess.
mhm. Yep. And I didn't want to make you relive the story, but I also want people who listen to this podcast to know that just because you have a place that's big enough to have animals, and just because you have what it takes to get the animals, it's not always perfect. There are things that
Yeah.
go wrong. There are also things that go really, really right.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, well, I mean, if you look at Katie's a great example of someone who, like, I don't think I know anyone who does as much vet care as she does.
mhm,
And, she's got vets right there all the time, and she still has stuff go wrong.
yes.
And, like, of course, she's doing everything in her power to prevent those things. And it absolutely destroys me when I hear people, like, hate on her for whatever, because like she's clearly doing everything she possibly can to prevent tragedy. Um I can't think of anything that she could do differently. And to see that and then to know that her reality is also not the reality for 99% of farmers or people in the industry. Like, it's her reality is beautiful, and it's so nice to see the level of care that she provides her animals, but that is not the norm for 99.9% of people, because 99.9% of people don't have an unlimited budget. They don't make money from views and stuff like that. So at some point you always have to say, okay, like at this point, we're going to have to pull the plug, or we're going to have to make that hard choice because we can't justify spending that.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the like dangers of Katie's content, and not her specifically, but just her, like, how privileged her life really truly is, and like how unrelatable it is for so many other people that have animals. And it's not because she's doing anything wrong. She's amazing. But it is really, really challenging to not compare yourself to someone with all of these means. And I don't want anyone to ever think that just because you can't provide what Katie provides, that you shouldn't own animals,
Right.
because the vast majority of people can't provide the level of care that she does. And when wildly she still gets hated on for not providing enough, which is insanity to me.
Um, Becca, when people have have fans, they also have haters. It's just how it
Absolutely.
goes.
Hey, I have my own Reddit page now, so I think I've made it. I think I'm doing great.
Very nice. And the other thing that I would throw in here is that we as humans are all one unknown step away from falling off a cliff.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you don't know. You just don't know what's coming next. And you do everything you can to do the right things and plan for things and hope with everything you've got that everything turns out the way you would like it to. But
Absolutely.
a friend of mine's husband just passed away unexpectedly like a month and a half ago.
Oh man.
And she had no idea that that was going to be her last day with him.
Oh, that's so, yeah, like, it's life is just insane when you think
Yeah,
about it. It's just
yeah,
crazy, and all you can do is live the day that you're given and hope for the next one. But just
yeah.
do what you can with what you have right now, and but always strive to be better, like, I I don't want anyone to ever feel like they need to, or they shouldn't own animals because they're not willing to spend, $200,000 on a horse, right?
Right. Yeah.
In vet bills, right? Because I think animals bring so much joy to people. And like, we just had a serious vet bill with our Pomeranian puppy. He broke his leg, and I think it was like $5,500 once it was all said and done. And there were so many people that were like, "Oh, I would never be able to do that," and like feeling guilty. And I hate that. It's like, there are other options. We chose the expensive option, but there was another option. And don't ever feel like, you know, like that's a good case for getting pet insurance, sort of thing. Like, I think, there's a fine line between being cognizant of what you can afford, but also being too hard on yourself, because you don't need an unlimited budget to enjoy the love of animals, right?
You don't. And I think I mentioned Maggie to you when we talked before, but our dog is a mini Australian Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
She is way too fancy a dog for us, I swear to you.
Mm-hmm.
She is beautiful. She is a classic black tri mini
Yep.
Australian Shepherd. And she cost us $500. And when we got her, 5 years ago in October, I think, is the anniversary of when we picked her up,
Yep.
we had the funds to spend $500 on a puppy. And
Right.
at the time, I thought, Jesus, that's a lot of money for a farm dog, basically. She's a
Yeah.
watchdog and that's it. But I was in love, and it was the first time we'd had space to have a dog, and I really wanted a puppy, so we got Maggie. Maggie has been the biggest blessing of my life. I love her.
Absolutely.
She lets me know when people pull in the driveway, and I can tell from her barks whether it's somebody that we know or if it's a stranger. And that lets me know whether I should be on alert or just be happy that somebody I know has come to visit. But
Yeah.
we have spent money on her well visits. We spent money to get her spayed because we did not want her to have puppies, and
Absolutely.
she's been spayed. She will never be a mama, but boy is she a mama to the barn kittens when we have them.
Oh, I love that. I
And
love that.
there were a couple months this winter where money was very, very tight, and I was like, I got to make some more money so I can keep my beautiful, too fancy for me dog fed,
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
I mean, right now it's such a trying time too, because things are so volatile with pricing, and like there's no way to have a budget because all of a sudden my groceries cost $100 more than it should have last month.
uh-huh.
Like, it's so hard to be living in this absolutely chaotic, like just pricing, tariff, everything, all of the things making life more expensive. And like, I just want to sit out here and watch my ponies eat grass. Like that's what I want in my life. Like the shows are great. If I have to not show this year because of the whole Facebook drama thing, that's okay. I'll be all right. I can show next year. That's not the end of the world. But as long as I can feed them and, you know, keep them happy and contained and just love on them. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's only so much we can control. I mean, groceries are pretty goddamn spendy here in the US too. And
It's terrible. When I was down there, that was something I noticed actually that in Canada we always have this like perception that everything is so much cheaper in the United States. It's not, especially if you factor in the like the exchange rate because our dollar is so terrible.
yeah.
I didn't find like we went through a few grocery stores and I didn't find anything like cheaper at all. I found some things to be quite a bit more expensive actually.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a perception that we had from a long time ago because things used to be a lot cheaper there. And there were some things for sure that were cheaper, but like groceries and food, no, not really. I didn't find that.
Yeah, we're so very thankful that we're rolling into June this weekend
Yeah,
because the farmers markets really start kicking here in June.
right.
And we benefit from that because we buy stuff from the farmers market, but we also benefit from it because we sell at the farmers market.
Right.
And
Right.
and I love salads. I love lettuce. I love radishes. I love cucumbers and tomatoes. And
Right.
and it'll be a lot less expensive to eat over the summer. It always is because we eat really light in the summertime.
Right. Yeah, I unfortunately am a big meat fan.
Uh-huh.
And that is just not it's not cheap at all. Um it's just gone up and up and up and up, and if you try and buy direct from a farmer it's more expensive for some reason. And you'd think that it wouldn't be, but it is. Um and yeah, but I would rather buy direct from a farmer because I'm sick and tired of these big billion-dollar corporations getting all the profit while the farmers suffer and then the consumers suffer. And there's one store here in Canada, without going off on too much of a tangent, they hiked up a very like quite a lot of prices over the pandemic and beyond, and they renovated all of their stores to be like so much more bougie. And it was like, you guys, like, you could have like not done that and just let us have our groceries at a better price. But
Uh-huh.
no, they renovated our local store, I think 3 separate times. And just I could see that it's just because they wanted a write-off, right? But it kills me. It kills me. I think farmers really need to band together and create some kind of like stick it to the man supermarket of some kind, which is like a farmer's market, but more accessible. I don't know. Good business idea for somebody who has the time.
Yes, which is not you right now.
No, it's not.
I was talking with my husband about this a week or so ago, and I said, did we just happen to be born at the right time to be born in the golden age of growing up? And he said, what are you talking about? And my husband is like 5.5 months older than I am. I was born in 1969.
Right.
And he was born 5.5 months before me in 1969.
Wow.
And he said, he says, we were teenagers during the Cold War. It was still the Cold War. It was before the Berlin Wall was taken down.
Right.
And I'm like, thank you for pointing out to me how freaking ancient I am. And he's like, yes, I know, honey. He says the 80s and the 90s were very easy for us as young adults. And I said, I think so too. I said, I can't imagine being in my 20s right now. I would not be able to afford to live. I wouldn't be able to afford to eat or live in a home.
And most of them can't,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Like even the young bucks here who are up in the oil field grinding it away are struggling. And it's it's terrible. And I mean, this is why I said, you know what? I'm pursuing this social media thing
Yeah.
because to me, as someone who this has been my dream since I was a little kid, is owning horses and just being in the country and living a quiet, peaceful life. Like this kind of life is extremely expensive. And I truly feel that social media was and is my only ticket to being able to live that life and build that life so that my kids can have it too when they're old, if they want it, because I feel like I've missed my mark for going to law school,
Mhm.
or med school. And those jobs still require you to be so busy. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm so busy with social media and doing all of the things, but I'm here talking to you, watching my horse eat her mash.
Mhm.
And that to me is like the most blessed life I could possibly live. And if I could, make enough to support my dreams, I don't need to be, a millionaire. I don't need to live lavish. I just want to support exactly what I'm doing right now. And, hopefully I can help benefit others in the process. I think going back to Katie again, that's something she does so beautifully, is bringing people into her circle and letting everyone have a piece of her pie that she created for herself. And it's just it's I truly think it's the only way, because if I go out and get any kind of, even a decent paying job, like my husband has a decent paying job, and he's just noticed that prices go up, but his wage stays the same, and he's
Uh-huh.
getting, all this inflation happens, but it doesn't happen to the wages. And so he's being bumped down, you know, 20 years ago in his industry, he was considered like a high income earner. And now he's like considered a very like medium to low income earner. And like, to me, that's just not right. And so many people are dealing with that. And it's the real tragedy of our existence, I think.
Right now, yeah. Um,
It's terrible.
there is a word for people who do tourism on their farms. It's agritourism.
Yes, yes.
So do you think that all this social media that is promoting farms and ranches and homesteads and stuff, do you think we should call it agri-content?
I mean, you could, or I mean, I like there's farm talk, there's horse talk, there's um yeah, like you could definitely call it that. And I think the whole idea of it is the agritourism, but minus all of the insane insurance costs, right?
Digital agritourism.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, I mean, I would have loved to have a petting zoo. I don't have the space for it right now, but like I've looked into like even like a mobile petting zoo, and the insurance
Oh yeah.
is just insane because animals are unpredictable, unfortunately.
And insurance is just insane. We have
Well, true.
our
Yes.
our place is registered as an LLC. And
Right.
we looked into getting LLC insurance because people do come to the farm, as it were, and buy stuff from the farm stand, and they want to see the chickens and they want to see the barn kittens when we have them.
Right.
And our insurance guy, who we love, he's no longer our insurance guy. He retired. We are very sad about this. He was great. And we told him what we were doing, and he said, you really should have insurance for the LLC,
Right.
because if anything happens to people on your farm, homestead, whatever you're calling it,
Yeah.
you could get sued, and that would be really bad. And
Yeah.
the LLC insurance is expensive. And I said
Yeah.
to my husband, I said, is it worth it? Is it worth it to pay this? And he's like, do you like being able to sell eggs and produce in the farm stand all summer? And I was like, yes. He said, then it's worth it.
Oh, that's a good husband right there.
Mhm. Yes, but insurance, no
Yes.
matter what kind it is always expensive. And
It's terrible.
what makes me insane about it is that I have health insurance, through my
Yeah.
husband's work. I rarely ever need to use it.
Yeah.
And yet we're paying out like hundreds of dollars out of every paycheck for health insurance.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this a racket or is it really worth it? You know?
Right. I mean, it's not worth it until you need it. And
Yep.
then it's worth every penny. Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's like, here's another crazy business idea for some insurance company who might be listening. Like group pet insurance. I would love to have pet insurance on the pom-poms and the dogs and all of those animals because, like I said, we just had like this huge vet bill. But try to have pet insurance on the amount of animals that I have.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I would love to see like some kind of pet insurance that's like shaped like a life insurance policy where, if your pet never needs anything, you get a portion back or something,
Yes.
So just putting that out into the universe again for someone who has time.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Well, I wanted to get caught up with you. I wanted to hear the story about George. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, you bet.
I really wanted you to tell the story about Angie's baby because people need to know this is not all sunshine and bubblegum.
It sure is not.
It's work. It's good work, and it will hurt your heart, but it will also make your heart sing at the same time. So,
Absolutely.
and I wanted to give you some room to talk about Facebook because I think that people who are not content creators have no understanding of how it works or why we do it.
Right. Yeah. And a
So,
lot of people, maybe don't see the value in it. But I think quite a few studies show that people are watching TikTok or Facebook Reels or whatever, YouTube, more
uh-huh.
than they're watching TV and like these pre-produced Hollywood things. And when you think about it, that means that we're taking a little bit of the money out of Hollywood's pocket and putting it into real people's pocket. And I think that's freaking awesome because we don't need any more Kim K's.
No, we do not. You are correct. And no, I'm not going to sit here and throw shade at the Kardashians. They're doing their thing. They're living their
Oh,
life the way they want to live it.
I say you do you, and like I'm inspired by you,
Uh-huh.
but you have too much money. It's not fair for the rest of us.
I will never know what it's like to have too much money, and I am okay with that. I'm
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah,
fine with that. All right, Becca,
yeah.
where can people find you?
So my Facebook name is Becca Hammon. It has a little blue check mark now, so it's the one with the blue check mark. The username is at Becca Bia Moon. That's for Instagram and Facebook, and then over on TikTok, I am at Moonridge Acres, as well as YouTube as well. So I really need to like make those all the same at some point, but I haven't got there yet.
Okay, well, I would highly suggest if people are interested in mini horses and everything that goes into having them, raising them, and crying over them, you should go and check Becca's Facebook page for sure. And
Thank
as
you.
always, you guys can find me at atinyhomesteadpodcast.com.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you,
See
Becca. It
you
was
next
really fun.
time.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.